little border they built is really neat. We have arrived to Nova Scotia on our first trip to Canada, and we're here at the Annapolis Royal Historic Gardens.
The brochure says that this garden showcases gardening methods, designs, and materials representing more than 400 years of local history. Like I said, they were a week away from full bloom, but wow, there's a lot of pretty rooms out here.
Wish you guys could smell this garden. It smells so good in here.
Gorgeous in my way. I've never seen bark so like rigid and huge.
The garden was very nice and it smelled great too. We're going to go visit some historical sites. This city is really important historically to Nova Scotia. So we're gonna go find out why that is. We drove a very short distance and parked close to the courthouse, and it looked interesting. There's a graveyard here, and then there's the fort right over here. The ground is all dug out here for a defensive perimeter, and then the main town is right over there.
I know.
Be able to see the depth of this thing.
Took a push mower down that thing. And then like all the way back around and one more swath. Then all the way back around, one more swath.
Try to give you a perspective of the size of this earthworks here. This is called Fort Anne. This is one of the most fought over pieces of land in Canada. See anything?
Built the way that it was, with air flowing around the outside, because the old place, the black hole, was making the gunpowder all moldy. So this is like for optimum airflow to keep all of the gunpowder dry.
Of course. That is so neat. Check that out. Just want to put rum on there. Wow. Oh, you can really feel the breeze.
Uh-huh.
The black hole is where they used to store gunpowder. then it got too soggy. Ooh, it's cold down here.
Yeah, wow. Ew, it smells like pee. You can see how the gunpowder would have gotten moist, so everything down here is wet.
Yeah. So these were the indigenous people that lived here in Nova Scotia. We're staying in a national park. Call it Keji, it's right there. So this is the original charter when the British that took over?
Of Scotland. That's why it's named Nova Scotia. It means New Scotland.
I'm really confused.
Right?
So there was the French and the British and the indigenous people and the Scottish
and the indigenous people.
all
So
trying
in 1621 it was claimed by the Scottish. The Mi'kmaq had no experience with outsiders or anything, and so they didn't understand what was happening, and they didn't value land and see that it could be claimed. So then when the Scots came and claimed the land, they didn't know what to do, it looks like. Oh, so here it says 3 years later they were evicted and England returned this land to France.
It became important because of the location of the port. The other town, I can't even see it on this map, is Halifax, which is another really important port. It is one of the deepest ports that doesn't freeze.
It's been 100 years by now.
So here's Boston, Massachusetts, and then here is Port Royal. And it's such a different perspective to think of it in ports where they could sail at between the two places, and that Nova Scotia was a very fertile place for growing crops, but then a good place to launch for a port as well. So it looked like there was quite a conflict in this whole area of New England and Nova Scotia.
When the French came over, the Mi'kmaq didn't have words for all of the things that they brought with them, so they created new words for things. And in front of them they put wen, which they determined meant France. So a cow was named a wen GTM, which meant French moose.
Interesting, because it seems like it just keeps going back and forth between the French and the British, who owns what, it seems. But then I guess maybe America trying to get a stake in this, or?
I don't think so.
Or they were
just saying that the British were fighting America because they were trying to control too many colonies all at one time.
Yeah. So it looks like British was trying to control or spread themselves too thin, and then their rule was being challenged. I thought today they were still owned by Britain, though,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. So in 1982, there was a Canadian Constitution approved by the British Parliament, making Canada wholly independent from Britain. Immortalized forever. Well, that's true.
I understand that one at least. This museum, you can see what the building looks like inside. How cool is that? So the door used to be right here.